Welcome back, Legends. We got another brand new episode of DC's Legends of Tomorrow Season 6 on our hands here with Episode 7, which is kind of like a mid-season finale. It really does end off the story that we started at the beginning of the season, but also still leaving the door open. And honestly, this really could have even been a season finale, but it wasn't. We're only like halfway through there. I think there's maybe 15 episodes in the season. I don't know for sure, but we're definitely at least halfway through the season, so not much more left to go, and I'm interested to see what we're going to do for the rest of the season, but I'm also really excited because this was a great episode, and I'm excited to talk about it. So, guys, of course, quick spoiler warning, if you haven't seen it yet, again, this is DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 6, Episode 7. So, first of all, the big thing we've all been wondering about since last week's episode, and it's true. Sara is actually dead. I'm honestly surprised they actually did it. I'm surprised they didn't bring her back to life or anything. And now we still have Sara on the show, but she's not the Sara we've been following for all these years. Now she is a clone. And she's also part alien and stuff. So it's kind of crazy because basically Bishop's whole plan here was to create an alien clone army of Sara's because she's like the deadliest woman in the galaxy. So he's like, well, if we have an army of them and they're part alien, then they'll be unstoppable. And I mean, yeah, they are. And we see that in this episode with Sara because she really doesn't like being part alien. She doesn't like this new version of herself, but at the same time, she's willing to accept that. And we see that throughout the episode. But the Legends are not. They are not willing to accept the death of Sara. So when we start off this episode, the Legends are all grieving. They're all upset about it, especially Ava, because, I mean, of course, and she's actually just stuck up in her room, just rewatching over and over again that video of Sara saying she's going to propose to her and all this stuff. But then, of course, the tragic part is she never actually got to. But surprisingly, another Legend that took it really hard, almost to the level of Ava, was Behrad, to the point where he actually created this whole plan called Back to the Finale, and that's where the episode title comes from, Back to the Finale Part 2, also a reference to Back to the Future, because Behrad went back in time to last year's season finale, where his plan is he basically wants to stop Sara from being abducted in the first place. And then the Legends, they find out about this plan and they go back not to stop him, but actually to help him so that they can get Sara back. So they do a little bit of brainstorming, trying to figure out what can they do to change the timeline and change the course of actions that will then make sure that Sara is not abducted. So they decide, all right, what if we get Sara to actually propose? Because they remember that Sara said she was going to propose to Ava, but she never actually did. They all walked off at the end of the night, and that was when she was abducted. But she never proposed. So they figure, all right, what if we get her to actually propose before then she won't be abducted. So that's the plan they're going with here for now. But of course, there's a whole bunch of hijinks. Things do not go as planned because then finale Ava finds out that future Legends are now here. And of course, she freaks out and she's like, this is a bad idea and all that stuff. So there's clearly some huge obstacles in the Legends' way of trying to complete their goal here, but something that wasn't even part of the plan was Spooner, because she was never even a member of the Legends back during the finale. So she's able to actually go talk to Sara. So she meets Sara for the first time, and they find out that Sara is actually super nervous to propose. But Spooner actually reassures her, and she's like, you know, everything you're worrying about, it's all going to work out in the end, and you and Ava are meant to be together. But then, because this is an episode of Legends, things, of course, get even weirder when a version of Nate from the future shows up wearing Constantine's jacket. He's got long hair, he's got an eye patch, and he warns everybody about how this plan's going to fail and everything. And it was honestly hilarious just seeing Nate from the future and seeing him wear Constantine's jacket. That was really awesome to see. But he's also right, because Behrad's next plan in this step was to actually use a blow-up mannequin doll, but then they decide not to do that, and Sara does end up getting abducted as she originally was supposed to. But then things do end up working out by the end, but we'll talk about that more later, because we have to talk about how Sara got here, because Sara did manage to escape the building that she was being held hostage in by Bishop, and she teams up with Mick, Gary, and one of the Ava clones, or actually really a couple of them. But then she actually has to re-infiltrate the building so that she can take down Bishop, and she wants to create a new version of herself because, again, she finds out that she is not only a clone of the original Sara, but she is part alien, and clearly she does not want to be part alien, so she wants to make sure that she can print a new Sara clone that is fully human, so then that human clone can be sent back with Mick and the Legends to live on life with Ava and all that stuff. But things don't go as planned, because then Mick shows up and he actually kills Bishop for like however many times he's died at this point. But this time he does not reform his body because, of course, Sara is printing her own clone at the moment. So he actually starts uploading his consciousness into the cloud system. So then if he succeeds with that, he can literally reprint himself anywhere he wants to. And that is not good news. So then Sara has to make a choice because they don't have time to print this new Sara clone before Bishop completely uploads himself into the cloud. So she has this talk with Mick, and Mick's like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're part alien and if you're different and if you're damaged and all this stuff. All I see is Captain Sara Lance, who has been through so much in her life, but wears those scars on her sleeve proudly and lives on life as she wants to. So it was really some powerful stuff coming from Mick there, but at the same time I loved it because it's so true. She's still Sara, and even though the real Sara is actually dead, we're still going to be having Sara on the show. She's going to be part clone, she's going to be part alien, honestly makes her kind of cooler, but it is going to be different, but she's still Sara Lance. So then she does decide to blow up the building. Bishop is dead, or so we think. Totally possible for him to come back because he is the main villain of the season. We're only halfway through, so it would not surprise me if he came back. But then they all go out of this place, and the squad escapes, but then they get chased by aliens, which is not a good thing there, until Kayla shows up, and that's great, but then they're all attacked again. Kayla all of a sudden disappears, and they have to leave without her. So that's also an interesting thing I'm wondering about, is maybe Kayla is still alive out there. Maybe she'll even become a big villain for the rest of the season, because we have no idea what happened to her. She literally just disappeared. So would not be surprised if she returned and maybe had a bigger role in the back half of the season, possibly as the villain. But now Sara has finally been saved. She finally makes her way back to the Wave Rider. She reunites with Ava. It's such an emotional moment. And then the whole gang goes back to the finale and reunite with the rest of the Legends. And this is when Sara finally proposes to Ava. And of course, Ava says yes. She actually is so excited. She says yes before Sarah's even done talking. It was really funny. But such a nice moment. They deserve it. They're finally getting married. Who knows when the wedding's actually going to happen. Will probably happen by the end of the season. I'm really excited for that. But that is where the episode ends. It finally ends on a happy note, on a good happy ending for everybody, which was really nice. But again, this season is not over, even though it seemed like a season finale. The story continues in the rest of the season. Next week, we're going back to the Wild Wild West. Would be awesome if we could get some Jonah Hex in this episode. Doubt it though, because we haven't heard anything about it. But we do know that Diggle is going to be in this episode. John Diggle, of course, from Arrow. He's doing these little mini crossovers throughout this season of all the different shows. He already popped up in Batwoman last week. So now he's going to be in Legends next week. He's going to be playing, actually not John Diggle, but the actor David Ramsey is going to be playing some character from history in the Wild Wild West, maybe even a relative or an ancestor of John Diggle. We don't know for sure, but I'm definitely excited to see that, so definitely stay tuned for that, guys. But let me know down in the comments below, what did you think about this episode of DC's Legends Tomorrow, and of course let me know your theories and predictions for the rest of the season. But guys, thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and hit the subscribe button so I can keep you up to date on